Hello, good morning. I want to give just a few moments to see if anybody hops on live. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Oh, I am coming out of Good morning, Laura. Hello. I'm coming out of a week off of work, so I'm just kind of taking things really extra slow today. So I'm still in my PJs, I have my coffee, and I'm excited to chat with you in this first Coffee Corner with Jordan Lang, that's me, which these conversations they're just casual conversations with conscious business owners and leaders about all things business and life. So this morning, it's going to be a conversation with me, just kind of sharing my story, my journey, and then in the weeks to come, I'm going to be having other folks on to chat, incredible humans that I have met, both in person and in this online space. So I'm super excited to share. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So if you are on with me live or catching the replay and you have any questions at all for me about, my journey, any personal questions, feel free to drop them in the comments and I will be more than happy to answer those for you. So just to kind of start out, my name is Jordan Lang. My preferred pronouns are she, her, and I live in Ohio with my husband Brian and our 3 kids. I know I don't often share too many photos of my kids on here. I've even had some folks message me saying, I didn't know you were a mom. I'm like, oh, trust me. I am pretty open, especially in my stories, about mom life. I'll share part of my journey, my whole journey, I'll share it later, but I was actually a life coach for moms for a couple of years. So I am no stranger to to mom life and being on this entrepreneurial journey as a mom. So if you're watching and you're a mom and you're going, how the hell do you do this? I cry a lot. Honestly, I cry a lot, and it's all about mindset for me, totally. So just to kind of share what it is that I do currently, I am an online business manager, and specifically I help clients to strategize within their business. So I offer support, and I also like business management support in the online space, as well as in some of my one-off sessions, I help with business strategy, so setting up those back-end type of things. And then for a lot of clients, I end up helping management-wise once I get those systems set up. So I absolutely love what I get to do every single day. I think that's one of the things that, my hair's a hot mess this morning. I think that's one of the things where when I am in that moment of my kids interrupting me, they're doing online school right now, 2 of them, and then I have a 4-year-old. It's very frustrating for me because I truly love what I get to do every single day. So when I'm not getting to do that work, it feels like a piece of me is missing, or, it's hard to not get to do what you love, right? And so for me, when I get, and kids are kids, it's not their fault if they have questions or I need to step in and be a mom in those moments. at the same time, it's still really frustrating, right? Because it's not like I can go to my office outside of the home, or my kids are in school in a physical building. It's like they're here all of the time. I'm here all of the time. Mom mode is always on. Always, always on. That was one of the biggest things that I kind of had a realization with this whole week that I've been off is the first couple days, it was really hard to get out of work mode, right? Working from home, and I love what I do. So it's like my brain is always on with getting these ideas and these downloads and wanting to, make mental notes or physical notes of like, do this, do this, do this. So it did take me a couple of days to get out of that mindset. But then I was talking to my husband, and I'm like, I am always in mom mode now. Always. Before, the pandemic hit and schools closed down back in the spring, my kids were in school, the two oldest, and then my son went to a sitter 5 days a week, 4 days a week. He didn't go on Fridays. So I had all of this time, kid-free time, to put in to work. And so now that they're here all of the time, I'm constantly in mom mode. So it's been hard, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. To, first of all, like, parent in this time that we're in, and then also to grow my business this time that we're in, plus, my relationship with my husband, and taking care of myself. It's been a hard fucking year, hasn't it? Like, for real. It's also been an incredible year in so many ways. So, if you're like me, where you're a mom, or maybe you're not, but you just, are feeling kind of frustrated with where you're at in life or your business, or you're feeling at a standstill, you are not alone by any means. This shit is hard, and it's a lot. Like, there's a lot going on right now. So just do your best to take care of you. That is, whenever I'm feeling frustrated or discouraged or stuck or whatever, I'm learning. It doesn't come easily to me to take care of myself and to rest and to prioritize myself. It really doesn't. There's a lot of things that go into that, but it's something I'm working on, to where, when I'm laying there on the floor sobbing because I'm just so exhausted, and my husband has to say to me, like, go upstairs and take a shower and go lay in bed. Like, I don't know to do that. So all I'm saying is if that's you, if that's how you're feeling, just, it's okay to give yourself permission to rest. And I'm speaking to myself on that too. Okay. So that's a lot how these conversations are going to go. I don't want things to be super scripted, especially with the guests that I bring on to chat with. I want it to be super laid back, super like, let's go down these rabbit holes. Like, let's follow wherever they lead. I do want to share with you a little bit of my journey, because I think there's these misconceptions in these online spaces, right, where we see everyone else's highlight reel. We see what people want us to see. I share what I want people to see. There's a lot of ugliness that can happen behind the scenes, a lot of pain, a lot of shadow work, a lot of shadow work that goes on behind the scenes that isn't really talked about too much. I feel like the group of humans that I connect with in the online space, we all do a pretty damn good job of showing the ugly side as well as the beautiful side. So if all you're seeing are highlight reels and like the positives of things, not that that's a bad thing to share, but if that's all you're seeing in your news feeds and that's all that, like, your community that you're, the folks that you're connected with, that's all that they're sharing, and they're never sharing like God, like I'm struggling with this, or, you know, really feeling depressed, or, you know, letting their realness shine through, maybe take time to reevaluate your network and your community and everything else, because shit can get really hard sometimes. Like it really, really can. And so that's why I think it's really important to share that. I feel like I do kind of balance it out a little bit on my feed, and in my stories and things. But I do want to have these casual conversations where we share like biggest struggles that we've had, biggest lessons. Where did you start and where are you at now? Just kind of that reflection of our journey. And that is my vision for these coffee corners. I've got my coffee. I love coffee. And I think that, I don't know, I'm just really excited about being able to share with you all. I don't have a clock in here. My clock is my phone. So I'm going to do my best to keep it pretty timely, and not super long. Brian's down with the kids, so I don't have to worry about them. But on like a weekday, I would totally keep it like 15 minutes max, because that's about all Zachary, my 4-year-old, has for him. So just to kind of share, this has been the best year for my business that I've ever had in the almost 11 years, 10 years that I've had a business. That hasn't always been what I'm doing now. This is something that, this business now that I have, I started off as a virtual assistant and now do the online business management work. But when I first started in the entrepreneurial world, just a little bit of background on me, I feel like I've done all of the things. I was a waitress for a while. I actually went to school. I started off in school to be an early childhood education teacher, and then I shifted to nursing. I was actually accepted into the University of Akron School of Nursing, which is really hard to get into. And after a semester there, I realized I loved helping people and I loved learning about like the human body and everything else, but the medical field was not for me. And because it is such a hard program to get into, I knew that there were several folks on the waiting list. So I ended up dropping out of nursing school. Actually, worked for a CPA, an accountant, and I did that for a little while, and then I shifted into becoming a waitress, and then I worked for a small business in Akron, a home delivered meal company, where I worked there off and on for like 6 years. Along that, like while I was working there, I became a licensed massage therapist. So I went to school for massage therapy. And from there, that's when my entrepreneurial journey really began, because I stepped out on my own and tried doing massage therapy as a business. And again, I loved helping people. I loved that physical way to be able to help provide relief for people. But when I had to do it because it was my job, I stopped loving it. So all along the way, I was learning all of these different lessons, picking up bits and pieces of information. And, you know, each time I started something new, I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm meant to do. This is, you know, what I'm going to be when I grow up. And I did begin with an MLM for, it was like 7 years that I was with with that company. And again, you guys, I really thought this was it. I'm like, I'm gonna make it to the top of the company, and I'm gonna do so well and everything else. Not that there's anything against MLMs, but I will say, like, I learned a lot of what not to do in business by being a part of an MLM. So from there, I started my life coaching business for moms, and I did that for about 2.5 years. And I loved that. I loved setting up programs. I loved creating behind the scenes. It was when I was up front sharing, it just didn't feel in alignment. And there was a lot of inner work that was happening behind the scenes too. And I know that played a part. A lot of my insecurities, my victim mindset was a huge one. There were a lot of things that I had to learn. And I know that had it not been for the way that my journey played out and the way that life happened, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I'm grateful for that. I truly am. I believe that everything happens for a reason, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be on every step, on every aspect of the journey. So from there, in that time period of me being a life coach for moms, we moved from Ohio to Utah for a little over a year, not quite a year and a half. And we made the decision to move back to Ohio. Loved Utah, love everything about it. Cost of living is super high, and we were just working to survive. We weren't able to really enjoy any aspect of it. We couldn't travel. We couldn't go into the mountains as much as I wanted to. We couldn't really do as much as we could because we were too focused on making sure that our kids could eat and that we could afford our apartment that we were living in. So we did make the difficult decision to move back to Ohio just because cost of living here is a lot less. And it was the hardest decision, but honestly, it was also the best decision for us to do. But in moving back, we're still trying to get on our feet. Our housing situation didn't work out quite how we had expected it to, so we didn't have as much money saved up as we were thinking we would. And I was sitting there freaking out, like, how are we gonna buy food for our kids? How are we, like, at that point we didn't even have a kitchen table. Like, my kids were eating on the floor. It was hard. It was a rough couple of months of worry and crying and wondering what the hell we're going to do. And I remember having a conversation with my good friend Natalie Bright, and she just encouraged me to look into all of the ways that I had abundance now, here and now, in this moment. Where are you abundant now? Because a lot of times we think of abundance and we think of financial abundance, right? Which obviously that is a fantastic form of abundance, but you can also have an abundance of energy, an abundance of time, an abundance of love, an abundance of anything, sunshine, right? So she encouraged me, look into the ways that you currently have abundance, express gratitude for the abundance you have now, and then watch the universe match that, like, in all areas. And that's law of attraction, right? What you think about, you bring about. What you're grateful for and what you express gratitude for, the universe is like, hey, they love this, so let's give them more of it, right? So that is one of the biggest things that I just began doing was shifting my mindset, expressing gratitude for the things that I already had. And it's hard. It's hard when you're like, how am I going to provide for my kids? If it's just me and Brian, whatever, we can make it work. We can do whatever we need to do. But when you add kids into the mix, it's a little bit more time sensitive, and it's a lot more worrying because it's not just me that I'm worried about. It's taking care of my kids. And we, it was several months of just extreme struggle. But I began to look at all of the things that we did have and all of the abundance that we did have, and things began to shift. So I started looking for a job. What can I do online where I can work from home, not have to pay for a sitter while the girls are in school, and still be able to help financially support my family. And I couldn't find anything. Well, I did find one, and I actually interviewed for it, but this person wanted to pay me like way less than what I felt was appropriate for everything that they were asking me to do. And so I just sat down one day and I listed out all of the skills that I have and like my ideal job. And intuition was just like, virtual assistant. Like, you know how to do all of this shit and you're good at it. And so I just sat down and I made a list of female entrepreneurs I was going to reach out to, and I did. Actually started out with transcription work, which now I'm like, I really I would do anything other than transcription work now. But it was a great way to get myself started. I would transcribe podcast episodes or videos or whatever, because I did do some transcription work for Rev.com. And I loved it. I loved typing. I loved it. But, looking back, it's definitely a skill that you need certain equipment for and whatnot. And I wasn't aligned with it anymore, so I no longer provide that service. But I did work for a VA company for a little while, a couple months, but that also wasn't in alignment. So again, all along the way, I was learning what worked for me and what didn't work for me, what I was aligned with and what I wasn't. And I learned to let go of all of the things that were not in alignment with me. Whether that be services, whether that be clients, whether that be, relationships with folks. And that's, not just business, but also in life. And things began to really shift in a positive way to where, I created #Hub membership, which is it's my monthly membership for niched and sized hashtags. And we're celebrating the 1-year anniversary of that. And I've got the most amazing humans in that space. And I get to nerd out every single day and also provide support for these incredible conscious business leaders who are change makers, and they are advocates for human rights and just speaking on the most incredible things. So I really feel like the way that I make my biggest impact is not necessarily in the forefront of things. I'm very introverted. I don't really like to be up front and center. Doing these videos, especially live, are always really hard for me because I just don't like it. I don't like to be up front. So the way that I can really make a positive impact, I feel, is by helping to provide support for these individuals who are the face of these incredible businesses that are truly changing lives in powerful ways. And by changing lives of individuals, we're changing the collective, right? The best way that you can help, what's currently going on right now is to take care of yourself and to work on yourself and to teach your kids to do better, because we really only have control over ourselves. So when I'm able to support these conscious business leaders, in turn, I'm part of the ripple, right? So I absolutely love what I get to do and how I get to be a part of this journey that so many folks are on. And so that's where I am now. I've kind of shifted out of VA work and now into more of a business management position. So, a lot of times people are like, what the hell is that? Like, what do you mean? What do you even do? And especially when I share with like older generation folks, they just don't get it. And I understand, it's kind of a weird, weird concept of like, you do what? How do you help people? So a big part of what I do is business management of different areas like podcast management, Pinterest management, scheduling pins, researching SEO, creating, I don't really create graphics too much, but scheduling out the pins, doing research for different things, as far as the podcast management, like mixing episodes, making sure that show notes are ready to go, posting on social media for the podcast management of guests, so many pieces and moving parts, but I love every moment of it. Also do some content management and just providing support for my clients too. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned is my human design. I am a projector, and so I do a really great job of, people give me their, not problems necessarily, but like, if they go, this is what I want to do, but I don't quite know how to do it, I ask a couple questions and I'm like, well, why don't you do this? And they're like, oh my God, I never even thought of that, And so it's allowing me to be in alignment with my human design and with how I am made, and being able to use that to help other people and help other, conscious business leaders. And I truly love what I get to do. I've had some people tell me, like, in the past, like, you're never going to find a job that you love, just deal with it. And it's like, no, what a horrible way to live, right? I don't love every piece of my job. There are some things that you have to do as a business owner where you're like, oh, like, I really don't want to do that, but it's an essential part of your business. And eventually I'll get to a place where I can pass that off to somebody else and then they can do that, right? But you're not going to love every aspect of your job necessarily, but if you don't love your work that you're doing, maybe ask yourself why. Ask yourself how you can shift into doing something that you love. Write out your list of things that you're good at and things that you can help other folks with. And maybe it is a 9-to-5. I know some people who absolutely love their 9-to-5 jobs, and that's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But if you are feeling stuck and you are feeling frustrated and you're like, I need to change, I can't keep doing this for the next 30 years, then see how you can shift. What little changes can you make? And maybe it's just a shift of your mindset and a shift in your alignment, because truly mindset and alignment are everything. They really, really are. They are a part of my daily practice of, sitting with myself and going, okay, you don't feel right. What's going on? Where's your head at? What do you need to release? What do you need to feel? What do you need to work through? And how can you shift into a space of alignment? Because when I do work for myself and for my clients, if I'm not in alignment, I don't do the work. I don't. If I'm frustrated with my kids, which is a lot of the times during school, if I'm frustrated or, I'm having a struggle with, a relationship in my life or, whatever, I don't do the work because that energy is then transferred into my work. And I choose to do all things from a space of alignment. And part of, it looks different for everyone. I love being outside and being in the forest and getting my feet on the earth and talking with the trees and doing all of that, taking naps sometimes. So I just tap into intuition. I go, what is it that I need right now? And she usually responds with whatever it is that I need. And so if you are feeling frustrated, if you are feeling like, you're not sure what you should be doing, just sit down with yourself and really allow yourself to have these moments of silence and reflection and allow your intuition to speak truly. I feel like that's something that we don't do quite as often as we need to. We stay really, really busy so that we don't have to hear what our body and our intuition is trying to tell us. And so I just encourage you, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling frustrated, to take those moments, schedule a time to sit down and just be silent and sit with yourself. I have to do that pretty regularly now because if I don't schedule it in, I don't take the time. I feel like that's a pretty common thing for many folks is if they don't schedule it in, then they don't take the time. So I just encourage you to do that. I feel like that's all that I have to share. If you're watching the replay, feel free to reach out, to message me, to ask any questions in the comments if you have any questions. I'm excited to be sharing in these coffee corners with you. The individuals who I have coming up the next 2 weeks are amazing women. I love them so much, and I'm super excited to chat with them. And they're going to be super casual like this one was. As far as we're not going to really speak on any specific topics, but we're going to just kind of share, or, my guests are going to share their reflection of their journey, how they got to where they are now, maybe their biggest struggles, their biggest lessons, their alignment practices, just whatever they feel called to share. And we're going to have a conversation and chat about it. So I'm super, super excited to bring these coffee corners to you in this way. If you have any questions for me, just feel free to reach out. But otherwise, have an amazing rest of your day and have an incredible week. Chat with you all soon. Lots of love.